Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of The Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaron Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good.
Matt, that's great. We're here, back again.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the Saturday morning arcade clubhouse.
How'd you get in here, John?
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
just one of the many mistakes in my life. I always find myself back here, but Matt, being in your company, never a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The only mistake is what we discussed over the next hour or so. And Matt, speaking about mistakes, I kind of want to start off on a weird note.
Okay.
Because Matt, just recently, one of my favorite Twitter, comics turn serialized manga has concluded, I believe.
Okay.
I want to say for now, but I believe I saw the fin. You hate when you see the last panel on the last page and it says fin.
Jared, that could just be the serialization of it. Jared, if it's a Twitter manga, you can just look on Twitter.
That's true, Matt. That's true. But Matt, I'm talking about a Yuri manga.
Of course you are.
Of course, Matt. Classic Jaren. But I'm talking about Model and Quiet Manager. Matt, this started as I said before, a Twitter comic, which was eventually serialized, and I believe its run was 11 chapters in all. And essentially, it's Matt. Tell me if you've heard this before.
Okay.
You have a beautiful model.
Yeah.
Kind of cold, shows no emotion, really professional, but she has a quirky, slightly older manager. I believe the age difference like 4 or 5 years. Her manager, this is her first like major gig with such a major model, and it's just hijinks there. We see that the model is or has feelings about her quiet manager, and the manager, being the dense co-protagonist here or there, trying to navigate not only managing the model as a client, but also kind of as someone she cares for, while eventually realizing that, oh, she actually has feelings for me. Typical Yuri manga, man.
Yeah.
Typical Yuri manga of where there is a one person who has a sense of authority over the other in some capacity, even though we're not going to get into that, how that whole dynamic might be seen as problematic. But Matt, as someone who has read their fair share of romance and Yuri manga, with occasional BL manga sprinkled in there, Matt, there's one trope that I think should be illegal.
Okay.
When it comes to romance-based manga.
Okay.
Which is, Matt, I'm just going to spoil the ending to Model and Quiet Manager, where the ending is Manager Chan, I forget her actual name, telling Model Chan that, hey, I acknowledge your feelings. While I don't feel the same way, I want us to stick together, and who knows where our relationship will go.
Oh, what?
Matt? This has not been the first time that I've seen an ending of, hey, I acknowledge you. I don't feel the same way, but who knows how I'll feel in the future, and then get hit with the fin. Because, Matt, as someone who is, I'll admit it, I like to say I'm a hopeless romantic of sorts. And I'm someone who likes a good conclusion. Whenever a manga or series ends with, hey, let's just see, not a good ending. That instantly sours me on the series as a whole, because Matt, sure, it's not about the destination, but it's about the journey. I'm of the mindset of, if the destination is unsatisfying, that taints the whole thing for me. And as much fun as I had with Model and Quiet Manager, I wanted some sort of resolution, especially like when you're only 11 chapters in and it kind of ends abruptly like that.
John, did this get canceled, or did it
I don't
just?
even know. Like, I feel like I need to look this up just because it's such an unsatisfying ending
Uh
where
huh.
I think about a lot of manga that have similar endings. And I honestly do think it is in the realm of, okay, maybe it just wasn't renewed, which, has its own issues. But again, Matt, I thought this, for at least the first 10 or so chapters, I thought it was really quirky. I think even towards the end, it got into, I think the one of the storylines I like to see in these types of manga scenarios where, oh no, like Model Chan and Manager Chan had their picture leaked out to the thing, and everyone thinks Model Chan has a boyfriend, and just them trying to navigate that space, I think
Uh
is an
huh.
interesting story to tell. But at the same time, it's you have a pseudo confession, but you have I can even understand if it's not reciprocal, but I feel like there should be a definite ending. Sure, this opens it up to a, spin-off, a part 2, something like that. But at the same time, if this is the end, not a good look, Matt. Not a good look.
Jared, this
And
has to be continuing in the Twitter space, right?
I'm hoping, Matt, just because I like these two characters and, you know, not to say I like when a story ends properly, just because sure you can give me like 2 volumes, and as long as the story, has a meaningful ending, I'll be okay with it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Matt. Just seeing that end really soured me in the whole thing. So not now that
Uh-huh.
we're in the bummer zone of it.
Uh-huh.
Any manga come to mind with unsatisfying endings to you?
There is one in particular. Actually, there's two in particular that
Okay.
come into mind right now. Jaren, there is a very recent one that got the axe. So the author, instead of deciding to do the "and we'll see"
Yeah.
ending, they decided to go with, and here's basically everything that was going to happen in the story
Okay.
type of
Oh, I
ending.
actually like that. Which
Which
manga was this, Matt?
it was called Red Hood.
Okay.
It was a manga that's basically just kind of working within the realm of like all these characters that are in fairy tales and stuff. Like it had the main character was Little Red Riding Hood, but like within the story there was like Cinderella, there was the woodsman, there was like like those types of characters in it,
Right.
and it really was kind of just it was building up so kind of like nicely about, hey, here's the storybook, here's like things about like fate and stuff, and then you could almost see the chapter when the author got told we're canceling your series,
Oh no.
because the pacing just went crazy.
Right.
Like they were in the middle of what was in essence a kind of training arc, and then everything hit the wall. Like, oh, yo, this kid Dustin one, let's go bring this kid over here. You have to go talk to the person who is holding the storybook, like the storyteller or something. I can't really remember how exactly like it went, but I don't know. It seemed like it would have been such a cool story, and it is, I think, equally unsatisfying to see it kind of just blurted out as though you were talking to the mangaka and them saying, and yeah, this is basically the story I wanted to tell, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But in some respects, I kind of would prefer that to a wishy-washy ending in
Yes.
some ways.
Yeah, because I mean, at least you get to see what cool stuff would have happened.
Yeah.
But you also get that sense of,
What could have been?
yeah, this could have been like this could have
Yeah.
been great, but it didn't get the chance.
Right.
But the other side, which is the wishy-washy side, was a manga that me and Julian were actually following a lot in our I believe like late college days,
Okay.
called MXO or MX0, which
Right.
is really just a school shonen manga about kids like casting magic.
Yeah.
And this kid can't cast magic. So the whole story is about how he can make it look like he's casting magic while within this magic school.
Okay.
And I don't know, it was like very interesting, but it very clearly got the axe at one point. And I think the thing that really confused me initially about it was that the chapters where it was clear that it was ending happened right after kind of like this group of chapters where it's like, okay, here is a thing that you can do to start learning real magic.
Right.
So, but it's kind of like, okay, you've reached your limit now. we'll come back to this later type of storyline. So to see it like, I don't know, like 5 chapters after that, just be like, okay, yeah, cool. We're in the end game. You're moving to a different school so you can learn magic from like in this alternate way.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens later. Like that just felt, I don't know, bad.
Man, it's always funny to me. Well, not necessarily funny, but there's this feeling I get, Matt, when I'm reading a manga or following a series.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, Matt, the pacing just gets wild where you realize, oh, okay, this is ending soon. This probably got the axe and they're trying to wrap it up as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I said it before, I read a lot of Yuri manga.
Uh-huh.
I read some BL manga as well.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like when you have that type of romance kind of subgenres, especially when you deal with like different age ranges and different
Mhm.
like careers and stuff like that, where eventually when the pacing does get really weird, it kind of undercuts the story overall.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because, as you said when you gave that example of that school shonen anime, I can think of 3 off the top of my head right now. I'm not going to say their names because, Matt, I think not only you but our friends would look at me way differently afterwards. But
Okay.
I think with some of the manga I've read in the past, where it sets up a lot of different side characters and potential conflicts,
Mm-hmm.
and then in one chapter, and then in the next chapter, it's these character relationships are just cut immediately, and then you kind of see the protagonist kind of go on their merry way, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what gets to me when something gets axed, is just that jarring shift in motivations, where it is that, oh, what could have been, just because it's, oh, they could have they were setting up this character to be so much more, and then all of a sudden they're neutered in a way which
Mhm.
kind of makes them almost unrecognizable to
Mhm.
what you're used to. And it feels cheap in a lot of ways too. Like, of course, what are you going to do? You don't have enough, you only have a finite amount of pages to give you some closure. But I feel like when a manga gets axed, a lot of the times the characters themselves never get a satisfying conclusion, in a way that they never reach their full potential as
Mhm.
characters.
Mhm.
But then on the flip side, I'm thinking of, Model and Quiet Manager, where this isn't, some story heavy thing. This is purely slice of life. And like
Mhm.
all slice of lives, you're just peering in the subsection of these two characters, where in something that's romance based, you just want them to get together.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason why you're
Mhm.
reading it. So for the fact that even if it was axed, I feel like they should. I wish that author Kuhn just gave us something,
Mhm.
just because this kind of reminds me of, Matt.
Uh-huh.
This reminds me of like the first run of Citrus,
Okay.
another Degen Yuri
Yeah.
manga.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Not as Degen, but you know what I mean there. Where
Mhm.
at the end of the first run of Citrus, I thought the pacing gets really weird, especially during the reveal of, I think May is getting married, and I believe, is it Yuzu or whatever her name is, kind of spills all her feelings, and then it instantly cuts to their wedding at the end, where
Oh, it's weird.
I thought the pacing was really weird in the final few chapters of Citrus, and then nah,
Mhm.
it just. And I thought, okay, this is canceled. But then Citrus Plus comes out, and now it's like 30 chapters deep, and it's like really weird now. Where, I don't know, Matt.
Is it just plus extension or a retelling?
No, it's legit an extension,
Oh, okay.
to the point where it's them playing out their final year of high school, but it's one of those things where it keeps introducing new characters, but the new characters don't know like the protagonists are like engaged. I don't.
Okay.
It's a weird. Not only that, Matt, but I promise that this isn't a Yuri episode.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like with Citrus Plus right now, it's in this weird spot where it's your typical high school manga where, Matt, tell me if you heard this before. It's the characters trying to navigate their future paths and not really knowing what their careers have in store. But it's the fact that we know that the two characters are engaged, where I feel like Author Kun uses the side characters and trying to push them into your relationships to kind of get, because everyone knows why people are reading Citrus. So you have to, the Author Kun's using the side characters to check mark the Yuri boxes while trying to tell like the coming of age stories of the protagonists who can't necessarily have the romance story anymore. And I feel like that's why Citrus Plus is so much weirder, where it just instantly cut to them being okay and engaged to here's the coming of age story now. Where I don't know, Matt. I just don't know. Like, I don't know the future of Model and Quiet Manager, and I hope, Matt, that gets continued on in the Twitter sphere or whatever social media alternative there is, because Matt, I need me more of that duo. You can't end like this, Matt. Can't end like this. So Matt, I feel like I just held up a mirror to our friends out there about my Yuri degeneracy. But Matt, staring back at me in that mirror is someone that just consumed all of season 6 of Black Mirror. And Matt, you also watched season 6 of Black Mirror.
Yes.
And I thought, hey, this is no, Black Mirror isn't necessarily an anime, but we have a platform for us to talk about it. So Matt, let's talk about some Black Mirror season 6.
Okay.
But before that, Matt,
Okay.
what's your history with Black Mirror? Like, have you watched all previous seasons? Are you generally a fan, or how do you feel about the series as a whole?
I mean, I generally like Black Mirror. Jaron, I never knew season 5 came out until you started talking about season 6.
Right.
So I haven't watched season 5, but I've watched everything else for Black Mirror,
including Bandersnatch, correct?
Yes, and Bandersnatch, which is like, I think at the time I didn't realize Bandersnatch was a Black Mirror thing because I just kept seeing it as Bandersnatch.
Right.
But I don't know. I generally like Black Mirror. I do think as a series it was far stronger at the start.
Yes.
Or maybe it's just you've gotten used to it, so now it's just, I feel like Black Mirror does rely a lot on kind of twists and stuff.
Yeah.
And once you're, far into a series, that any kind of series that relies on twists, you're kind of trying to see where the turn is.
Yeah. I totally agree, Matt, where going into season 6, I was a bit hesitant, mostly because, like you, Matt, I've consumed mostly all the Black Mirror media out there, with the exception of, Bandersnatch, which I should really come around to one of these days.
I'm surprised you haven't watched Bandersnatch, considering that's the most video game thing.
Adjacent thing in the Black Mirror, I guess, series as a whole.
Jen, do you like FMV games?
I like them in theory, Matt.
Okay.
I haven't played one in recent memory where I can, safely comment on that. But I think I'll ask you about Bandersnatch a little later. But in terms of Black Mirror, again, it's almost unfair to say that we're 6 seasons deep, mostly because seasons themselves are pretty short.
Yeah.
They range from, there was one special, White Christmas, I believe, but for the most part, it's 3 to 5 episodes. I think the longest was either season 4 or season 5, and I think those were around like the 6 range. But for the most part, like they do come out in short spurts, and I feel like with the discourse around season 6, which we'll get into, since we'll briefly go through all the different episodes, it's the fact that I feel like Black Mirror as a whole has become almost formulaic in a way, where, as you said, you are expecting the quote-unquote M. Night twist at this point.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like with Black Mirror as a whole, it's become more so, I feel like everyone looks to it to see, oh, what dark future awaits us if technology is
Yeah.
on its current, depending on like where technology currently goes, where I feel like Black Mirror now has become entwined with this idea of future tech. And that's why the discourse around season 6 right now is a little kind of surprising to me, just because I feel like a lot of people have been more sour towards season 6 just because it isn't as tech heavy in comparison to the previous seasons. And I feel like that's a bit unfair in a way, just because maybe it's because, to me personally, I think Black Mirror works best when it isn't necessarily, future tech doom and gloom, rather than actual social commentary.
Yeah.
That, when I think about my favorite episodes of Black Mirror, it's not necessarily the ones that have, strong technology ties, but actual, holding that mirror in front of society. Because I think when I think back to Black Mirror, it's gotten to the point where I kind of expect it to not only hit the twist trope, but in some capacity, one of the biggest themes that play out throughout like a lot of the seasons is this idea of artificial consciousness, and then using that artificial consciousness as a prison of sorts, or as a form of punishment. Where when a friend asked me, oh, are you looking forward to season 6 of Black Mirror, my first thought was, yeah, I can't wait to see how they utilize the consciousness trope once again. And surprise, going through episode 1, Joan is awful. And when we get to the twist of the end that all the characters we've been following are just AI,
Yeah.
I thought, yep, this is Black Mirror. This is quintessential. I don't want to say this is Black Mirror, but this is modern Black Mirror and what everyone kind of associates to it right now.
I think that the first episode was the most Black Mirror one of the bunch.
I think, to me, so I guess let's just get into it right now, Matt, now that we've kind of set the ground. So Black Mirror season 6 has 5 episodes. The first one being Joan is Awful. The synopsis of off Netflix is: an average woman discovers a global streaming service has adapted her daily life and her secrets into a drama starring A-list actress Salma Hayek. And as you said, Matt, I feel like Joan is Awful is the most modern Black Mirror episode of all season 6, just because it has the trappings of, oh, this is future, quote unquote, future tech, and how it can go awry. Where, of course, as the description says, we find out that the reason Joan is Awful works is that it uses a supercomputer to use deepfake AI to create customized content to the viewer. And I know it plays around with the topic of, terms and conditions and how no one reads through it.
Yeah.
But, the main crux of the episode is, the speed of deep faking and kind of the movement of AI where to kind of create self-serving, content specifically made for the individual viewer. And Matt, what did you think of Joan is Awful overall?
I liked the concept of Joan is Awful.
Yeah.
I wonder if the concept of watching your own life in horror is the thing that, because I think within the show they said, hey, yeah, this is the thing that draws people in the most.
Yeah.
And I legitimately wonder if that would be true, because Jaron, when I think of AI generated curated content, it's honestly just basically daily lives of high school boys and wasteful days of high school girls and dumb anime like that. And the fact that, they had the pictures of everybody scrolling on that screen, and the fact that not even one of them, Jaron, was animated, I thought they missed an opportunity there.
They missed the mark there, Matt. Because Matt, my Netflix algo, you know what? It instantly feeds me. It's
Is it?
anime, Matt.
Uh-huh.
It's anime. But yeah, I think overall Joan is awful kind of to me speaks it was almost highlighting how desensitized I've come to Black Mirror just because I feel like, now that we've watched all 5 episodes,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, again, this was the most, future tech doom and gloom episode. But at the same time, I'd argue it's a lot tamer in comparison to what we've seen previously from the series overall.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's the Grand Theft Auto dilemma. So this was taken from a Game Informer article from 2018, if you'd believe it, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, to me, the Grand Theft Auto dilemma is the game just can't keep up with the absurdity of reality. The quote is, "Some of the stuff you see is straightforwardly beyond satire in real life. It would be out of date within 2 minutes. Everything is changing so fast." And it's, to me, Matt, it's what Black Mirror is kind of running into right now, just because with the kind of rapid pace of, technology these days, especially with the development of AI, when I look at something like Joan is Awful, and I know there's no like super quantum computer right now to do what it's doing, but yet when I was watching Joan is Awful, I thought, oh, like wasn't this whole I feel like deep fake AI stuff, even though it's kind of emerging right now, it kind of felt dated when being presented through Black Mirror in a way, which kind of threw me off, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if you felt the same way.
Yeah, I kind of feel that. I feel like specifically dropping the word deep fake
Yes.
is what dated it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I feel like while deep fakes are still a thing, I feel like maybe maybe just became the kind of term people use in the same way people use the term Photoshop.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about using the word deep fake really did set in stone that, hey, this is taking place now.
Yeah. But overall, Matt, with Joan is Awful, I thought it was a good start to it starts off like the season pretty well just because it gives you that, quintessential Black Mirror experience. What did you think of the twist of it being, AI generated content?
I think that's fine. Like, I guess they were always saying it was AI generated content, but then to have that twist of, hey, yours also AI generated content is like a nice twist to me. Like, I thought it like played well into what they were establishing in the episode.
Right.
I don't know if I agree with the way they revealed it, with Michael Cera kind of just like, talking about it. I'm personally just not a fan of like characters breaking the fourth wall in that way.
Yeah.
I think that they did it differently, it would have been fine, but something about the way they did it wasn't as satisfying as it could have been to me.
Yeah, I think it because when it was all happening, I think you can kind of realize, oh, okay, this is actually another simulation and there's actually another Joan. But at the same time, like you said, one, I like the Michael Cera kind of cameo, but at the same time, to have that character kind of explain everything I feel like that really...
It was very info dumpy.
Yeah. It underestimates your audience where you have to like straight up explain it, where I feel like that is something I'm not used to with the Black Mirror episodes, of just those info dumps of kind of explaining everything. But yeah, we find out that it's all a simulation and there's an actual Joan, and it kind of ends off with like a fun, kind of ending. But Matt, what did you think of Salma Hayek throughout the episode?
I honestly think that I wouldn't have recognized it was her in the Joan costume if it wasn't pointed out to me.
Right.
Because for some reason she looked really, really different to me.
It's that hair, Matt. It's
yeah.
that hair.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I generally enjoy Salma Hayek. Like, cool to see Salma Hayek.
But yeah, it was a fun episode. Not my favorite of the season, but strong start to season 6.
I think it was in like the upper half for me.
Really, upper half? I think it was in the bottom half for me, but I guess we'll explore it as we go through all the different episodes. But Matt, this brings us to the second episode of the season, Loch Henry.
Yes.
Matt, While filming a nature documentary in a sleepy Scottish town, a young couple catches wind of a juicy local story with ties to shocking past events. Matt, I feel like this is the episode that made me fall into the trappings of, oh, Black Mirror is supposed to be all future tech doom and gloom. Just because after I initially finished this episode, I thought, okay, this was a well-produced story. This was a well-produced episode that stands on its own. It immediately didn't feel like a Black Mirror episode to me.
Yes.
But then I had to kind of separate myself from, no, Black Mirror, it doesn't necessarily mean technology focused. It means social commentary. And when I started thinking about its social commentary towards, the true crime, the genre, it instantly clicked with me in a different way.
Oh, I didn't even consider it like as a social commentary towards true crime.
It resonated because, man, I'll be honest. Like, in between watching VTuber clips, in between watching video game podcasts and listening to video game podcasts, I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts. And I guess for someone who, indulges in that content, to see Loch Henry play out made me really appreciate it a lot more. And its overall, message like resonated with me, where I would argue Loch Henry is my favorite episode. Okay, I won't argue why it's my favorite episode, but I think Loch Henry is the best episode of season 6. So this episode stars, the two focal characters are Davis and Pia, who visit Davis's hometown, and they're, just there on a day trip before they go move on to, as the description says, their nature documentary. Pia finds out that, there is a dark history to this town. It has some personal ties to Davis, and then all of a sudden she wants to make that their focus of the documentary.
Yeah.
And I loved the character of Stuart, who is Davis's childhood friend, just because overall I feel like Stuart plays such a good, I guess, voyeur character to, I guess, true crime overall, where he helps between Pia and between Stuart. There is this sense of making this tragedy, like Davis's tragedy specifically, into a commodity, where Stuart straight up says, hey, this can bring back the boom, like this can make the town popular again. And even Pia says it, this town should be flowing with tourists. Why? Like, there's a story here. We need to tell it. And just the fact that Davis is so hesitant, and then he eventually succumbs to it, where I don't know, just overall, it made me really think about how we kind of consume true crime, these days, where everything is just made for the shock factor, just because, especially when they're kind of pitching it to the network or whatever to kind of pick up for funding, the producer asks, okay, so what's new? Like, this is, everyone knows the conclusion. What's like what's the hook? What's the pitch? And I think it all adds up to the ending where, we see the twist. It turns out that the murder here that in question was also orchestrated by not only Davis's, passed away father, but also his mother played a part in it as well, where I kind of saw that twist coming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when it was revealed, I feel like Pia watching that found footage was like, that footage was really disturbing to me for some reason. But overall, I liked the ending because, Matt, the fact that Pia dies in such like an anticlimactic way.
Jared, that death was so anticlimactic that when it happened, I actually rewinded the episode because I kind of had the feeling of, wait, did she die? Yeah.
But I loved it just because Pia is one of your central characters throughout this whole episode, And then in the grand scheme of things, she's reduced to like a footnote in a thank you speech that
Uh-huh.
Davis doesn't actually get to thank, where it's the producer accepting the BAFTA award and she dedicates it to Davis and his late girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think that she's named, but it kind of goes to show that even if you play a central part in this overall story or bringing the story to life, and even if you become a victim of sorts, just because I think the implication is that the mother murdered Pia, even though in reality she, like, Pia slipped on a rock and died.
Yeah,
But it doesn't
yeah.
matter. She becomes part of the story, and in becoming a part of the story, she becomes dehumanized in a way,
Uh-huh.
which I thought was like great. And then, of course, the ending shot with Davis in the hotel room looking at that note and having Stewart call him. And not only does Stewart, like, Stewart doesn't even like see just to see how he's doing. He's like, hey, congratulations. Listen to this place. It's booming right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. I feel like it was such a good commentary on how people to kind of consume true crime in general, just because the true crime at its core is a tragedy. Sorry, Matt, I can't say tragedy properly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's these unfortunate happenings to real people that
Yeah.
stop being real people in a way where
Yeah.
I don't know. It to me it like sure the subtext is kind of on its sleeve in this one, but maybe it's because I consume so much true crime, and it's a discussion I have with a lot of people from time and time of, isn't it kind of fucked up how we consume true crime?
Yeah.
And to see it presented in this way, I think that's why it resonated with me so much, where
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have that technology, you know, in the forefront. But this kind of brings me back to episode 1 of Black Mirror, season 1, like the national anthem, where it doesn't have to be future tech doom and gloom. All you really need is a episode that just holds up a mirror to the current societal trend of their relationship to social media, their relationship to true crime. And I thought
Mm-hmm.
Loch Henry did exactly that. So that's why I loved Loch Henry so much. But I went on and on about it, Matt. What did you think of Loch Henry overall?
I thought Loch Henry was kind of a weird one with regards to it being in Black Mirror.
Yes.
I think that kind of like agreeing with what you said, that this isn't a very Black Mirror-y episode. I guess at the time I also didn't really consider the whole true crime not social documentary, social commentary.
Yeah.
But like when looking at that angle, it does kind of like line up with Black Mirror. But in and of itself, I thought this was like a fun, quote unquote, fun story.
Yeah.
I thought that like I think I agree with you as well that this is probably the best of season 6.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it basically went where I was expecting it to. Like I really did think that it was only going to be the dad that was part of the murders, and I thought, I don't know, I thought there was going to be a sub story about the mom just being super racist to Pia,
Right.
which I found that weird, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That they just made her racist as a almost a throwaway thing.
Yeah.
Which I don't know, something about that was just like very odd to me, because I feel like they never really touched on it too much, other than just like making it awkward between the mom and Pia's character.
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily overt racism.
Yeah,
but
it
one
was
of
just like
those,
that.
like ignorance.
Yeah,
like,
ignorance racism.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird. I guess like it was reflected in Demon 79 like later on. But I don't know, I thought it was a fun story. I thought the twist was kind of like obvious there. But I don't know, I really liked the overall style of half show, half documentary that they were doing. And I think the only thing that I was really expecting was I was expecting the Eggman to somehow be related to like something at the end. But other than that, like I thought it was overall a very like good episode.
So Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I guess we have to discuss it.
Okay.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
what did you think of Davis playing Mario Kart Tour?
I didn't realize he was playing that, actually.
So remember after the accident and then he's in the hospital and then that's before he talks to Stewart's dad.
Uh-huh.
There's a clip, there's a part of him in his bed playing Mario Kart Tour on his phone.
I didn't even realize that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's weird. Mm-hmm. Just because when I imagine somebody playing a video game in a show,
a
Mario game is not what I would expect. Mario didn't even play a Mario game in his movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Something about it being Mario is weird to me. It seems weird that Nintendo would be like, hey, yo, yeah, oh, yeah, Black Mirror? Hell yeah, we want to be in that, but...
Don't worry, Matt. This is all a ploy to say Zelda Netflix episode coming or series coming in the future.
Man.
But I think in between Joan is Awful and Loch Henry, I do like how there were a lot of different Easter eggs like sprinkled throughout. I know when in the episode in Joan is Awful, when they're scrolling through Streamberry, you actually see the Loch Henry documentary there. Likewise, when they're announcing the nominees for the category at the BAFTA Awards, they mentioned the San Junipero project as one of the other in the runnings too, which I thought was really nice. And I think that's a running thing throughout this season as well, where there are a lot of different kind of callbacks to previous episodes and even the episodes in the series, which I found pretty fun. But overall, yeah, Loch Henry, I think just the true crime angle was really, I don't know, it really resonated with me and I enjoyed it a lot. But Matt, this brings us to episode 3, Beyond the Sea. Netflix says, in an alternative 1969, 2 astronauts on a Piraeus high-tech space mission grapple with the fallout of an unfathomable tragedy. 2 words I can't pronounce, Matt. Tragedy back on Earth. Matt, what did you think of Beyond the Sea?
I liked the concept. I didn't like the execution and ending.
Yeah, I think overall, Matt, I thought this episode was kind of predictable. Especially, and the ending not so much, but just how it played out and the ultimate conflict it became. I do admit I am guilty in that I thought the hippie cult would come back
Yes,
and
I also
play
did.
a bigger role towards the end. And for them not to, I don't know. I think it makes it a better episode that they didn't return.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had such a strong presence in the beginning and a terrifying presence in the beginning made their kind of like disappearance like after the beginning of the episode kind of like weird, where they existed purely as a plot device, but it kind of makes you think there's so much more, especially in the bookstore scene where, you know, the bookstore clerk recognizes, hey, you're that astronaut guy, right? Yeah. Which kind of, you know, foreshadowed the same part of what happened ultimately in the beginning. But Matt, what did you think? So for a brief summary of Beyond the Sea, the tech is there are 2 astronauts in space right now. For them to kind of help pass the time, they're able to link into their android bodies back on Earth to interact with their families. And Matt, what did you think of, okay, the hippie cult scene overall?
Jaren, the hippie cult scene to me was really weird. Because one, it does come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But 2, when I was watching that scene, I didn't think that was going to be the turning point for the story.
Yeah.
I thought it was really just going to be a, hey, get out of here, and he wards them off, and they would be a threat later.
Yeah.
So to see it kind of escalate to what it did was actually kind of wild to me.
Not only escalate, but escalate then immediately like become irrelevant in a way, just because in a throwaway, I feel like a throwaway newscast, they said, oh, the hippie cult, they all turned themselves in.
Yeah. I thought, like, still to me though, I thought that they were still going to come back in some way.
Yeah.
So it at that time didn't feel too throwaway for me.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the kind of, I guess up until the middle, the plot line of this episode was kind of predictable.
Yeah.
Of, hey, he's going to use the other guy's avatar. He's going to live there. He's going to fall in love with the other guy's wife. And I think they actually like threw me for a loop real quick when they were doing that scene where I don't know, Aaron Paul's character is like going to go fix the whatever satellite.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be like, up until that point, everything had been going how I was predicting. I thought he was just going to die there, and the other astronaut character was going to pretend to be Aaron Paul's character and pretend to do the switches like every so often.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that like the story went in like a different way.
So I think for me personally, the hippie cult scene like was really one. It's really graphic and terrifying, and I feel like that's the terror that people kind of come to expect from, Black Mirror as a whole. But at the same time, it was so, not it was so prejudice based, where I thought that that would be the central theme of the episode, and then all of a sudden it becomes what the episode is the other astronaut, wanting to feel that connection with Aaron Paul's wife back on Earth, and then him going into such lengths to kind of get that, sense of, that sense of feeling that he lost again. But at the same time, I think it was really interesting to me because, like you, Matt, I thought that, okay, when Aaron Paul goes out, he's going to be locked out, and the other astronaut's just going to live Aaron Paul's life on Earth. But then to see him open the hatch and then Aaron Paul to go back home to realize, oh no, his whole family was murdered. And then the final closing image of that astronaut kicking the chair to Aaron Paul and asking him to take a seat. I feel like that was not necessarily a good ending because it ends on such a graphic note. But I think that ending is kind of, for it to get to that conclusion, I think it's produced well. Just because throughout the episode, especially in the shots of them working out together, like Aaron Paul, in comparison to the other astronaut's name, who I forget. I should probably look this up, but I won't.
Yeah.
We've been doing podcasting for a decade now, Matt, and I'm still bad at it, but whatever. Yeah. Like, when they're shown side by side working out, like, Aaron Paul doesn't look as good as the other astronaut in the sense that the other astronaut is depicted as taller, he's depicted as more muscular, he's essentially more physically fit compared to Aaron Paul's character. Likewise, he has the quote-unquote better life, most social life, more, loving relationship with his partner, better relationship with his kids, like a more social life compared to Aaron Paul's more isolated farm life with his, he has a relationship that's cold, and then his son's like relationship is, kind of one run on authority compared to the one that the other astronaut had with his former kid.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, for all intents and purposes, the other astronaut is depicted to be quote unquote better than Aaron Paul's character.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Aaron Paul's character is the one doing him the favor. He's allowing him to have his life, where I like the ending in a sense that it seems like the other astronaut has this inferiority complex when he, for all intents and purposes, he should have it better than Aaron Paul. So the closing shot of him kicking the chair and telling him to sit makes it seem like, oh, not only is the command, him trying to command him to sit, like showing, that kind of level of superiority, but also the notion of him sitting down is, oh, they're back to an even level, and even the status quo of them being kind of equals in a way, where I thought that was really good. But at the same time, the moment Aaron Paul said, hey, do you want to take my android body for a spin? It kind of plays out the way you expect it to play out.
Yeah.
There are some, as I said before, some red herrings thrown there here and there, especially like the bookstore scene in particular. That's when I thought the hippie cult would come back, but of course they didn't. And yeah, just kind of the brutality of the ending itself too. I don't know, it took me out of it, where I probably rank this like the third best episode of the season. But at this point, it is, I feel like this was also another formula. This is contradicting what I said about, expectation stuff. But at the same time, this is, I think, beat for beat, what I expect from Black Mirror, where I do think that Joan is awful and Beyond the Ocean are the most quote unquote modern Black Mirror episodes of the whole season. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's paced in a familiar way.
Mhm.
But overall, I did like the story. Ending, yeah, ending was just too gruesome for me, Matt. I don't, no gruesome anime here, Matt. No gruesome
Uh-huh.
anime. But yeah, Matt, any closing thoughts on Beyond the Ocean?
I think personally for me, Jaren, just it not playing out the way I wanted it to
Yeah,
made it a, a worse episode for me.
yeah.
And I feel like this might be like my 3.
Okay,
I think this might be like 3 for me.
okay. Fair enough, Matt. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
this brings us to episode 4, Mazey Day. A troubled Hollywood starlet goes to great lengths to escape packs of invasive paparazzi as she deals with the aftermaths of a hit and run accident.
Yes.
And Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is probably one of the most divisive episodes of Black Mirror
Uh-huh.
in a while, especially when it comes to, you know, audience reception. Because Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I'm torn on Mazey Day, where I think this is the worst episode of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
But at the same time, so Matt, I don't want again. I feel like this whole episode of the Mistake Zone, I've been going on about being in that camp of Black Mirror doesn't have to be about, future tech. It's all about the social commentary aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
where that's the reason why I'm torn on Mazey Day, just because I feel like the paparazzi story is something that you can tell a compelling story about.
Yes.
But I also feel like that
Mm-hmm.
the whole werewolf
Okay,
aspect.
yes. Jaren, I don't know if I just missed something, but was there any lead up to her being a werewolf?
The explain it that the person Mazey Day, or Mazey, I guess, hit in the hit and run was actually a werewolf. And when she checked the body, the werewolf bit her. And she became a werewolf after that.
Oh, okay. I guess I just like fully missed that part.
So I guess the whole notion of what Black Mirror has become is the fact that it's one of those, hey, it holds up the mirror to you. This is where technology can come, like eventually lead into. Here's the dark future.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, as far fetched as some episodes have been, even the most futuristic ones do have a sense of being grounded in reality in a way. And I think the werewolf aspect and it being a legit actual werewolf
Yeah.
kind of is it's jarring just because
Yeah.
I don't believe we've ever seen something this supernatural in Black Mirror before. And I think that's what really throws it off. And arguably, I feel like you need to have Mazey Day prior to Demons 79 because without this is me jumping ahead. I think if Mazey Day was more grounded, then Demon 79 becomes a lot more jarring and I feel like you need Mazey Day to ease you into the mindset to fully enjoy Demon 79. But stepping solely into Mazey Day, again, the paparazzi story is a good one to tell.
Mm-hmm.
It's a compelling one that you can definitely, and like that Black Mirror social commentary does come through in this episode. But at the same time, I hate that everyone is so fixated on the werewolf angle. But when you think about it, that's the whole point of the episode, right? Because during the climax of Mazey Day, when they find her chained to the bed and she's becoming a werewolf, it's the fact that, oh, holy shit, this girl is like chained to the bed. No one's really caring about that. It's, oh my God, she's in a provocative pose. Oh my God, she's becoming a werewolf. We need to capture this as opposed to, like, you're focusing on the absurd nature of it rather than kind of the themes or like the story behind it, where I feel ashamed that I'm falling victim to this because I legit can't get past the werewolf, even though I understand it's central to the story it's trying to tell, kind of, if that makes sense. Because yeah, it's a good story. I like just visually, even the diner scene at the end, I thought was pretty good. I do admit the werewolf being shot, that that was some janky CG to me.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, yeah, it's the supernatural element that was really jarring to me, and I think that really took me out of the episode overall, which pains me to admit, because I feel like this could have been received a lot better, but I feel like everyone is too caught up on the werewolf aspect, which I think is the whole point. Plus, I did see a lot of discussion about, oh, it's like old tech, so it doesn't really feel Black Mirror-y. But yeah, Matt, what did you think about Mazey Day?
Okay, so a bit earlier you said that Macy Day had to lead into Demon 79.
Yes.
Because of just how supernatural Demon 79 is.
Yeah.
And I would almost argue that I think I would have preferred it the other way.
Really?
Just because I don't know, the supernaturalness of Demon 79 is somehow to me less than Mazy Day, just magic werewolf thing. Just because, I don't know, the werewolf thing just took me so out of the episode. Like, I understand that, like, there's the whole thing about, hey, you should be focusing on the fact that, hey, this girl is just chained to the thing, but I don't know, Jared, that scene was just so weird. I do agree though that I like a paparazzi point of view story, because I think that's a good kind of like storytelling. I don't know if element is the right word, but like source or like driving thing is, I think, like an interesting storyline. But I don't know, Jared, the fact that I missed the, hey, this guy bit her and now that's why she's a werewolf, just took me so far out of the thing. And to add to it, Jared, the shootout scene at the end, which you brought up, Jared, if you're gonna go supernatural, I think you have to commit to supernatural. Jared, we know through Saturday Morning Adventure that to kill a werewolf you need silver bullets. And I can almost guarantee you that cop would have had no reason to have silver bullets. Jared, I don't know. Like, it's the combination of the supernatural coming out of the unexpected for me, and the fact that they didn't follow it properly. Both those things definitely made this my least enjoyed episode.
Again, I feel like if it wasn't a werewolf, this would be a much better episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just way too jarring for me.
She should have just been a robot. Like that, I feel like that works with Black Mirror. That's still, the story is like still being told properly, but like, I don't know. Yeah, the werewolf thing just took me really out of it, and I didn't like how the werewolf looked, Jared. Like, yeah.
I think, but what I do appreciate about Mazey Day is the fact that it was, again, it's not future tech. This is going back to a more dated look of, the paparazzi boom.
Yeah.
And I think just with, all the discourse around Britney Spears over the last couple of years, where this is a good story to tell, where I do hope in future seasons of Black Mirror, if it does get renewed, which it probably will, where I hope it continues the trend of not necessarily going, having a good balance between future tech, but also kind of recontextualizing previous technology and social trends for better and for worse, because I think a good balance will really help break up kind of the formulaic, episode structure that Black Mirror has become, especially when it does come to the technology aspect. But we kept talking about it, Matt. This brings us to the finale, the final episode of season 6 of Black Mirror with Demon 79, where Northern England, 1979, a meek sales assistant discovers she must commit terrible acts to prevent an immediate disaster. And I go back and forth between Demon 79 and Loch Henry as being the best episode, my favorite / best episode of the season, where I feel like, especially in the debut trailer of season 6, Demon 79 is presented kind of differently compared to the previous 4 episodes,
Oh, okay.
where it has this grindhouse aesthetic to it. I think even in the beginning, it says that this is a Red Mirror production. And so, yeah, this does have that grindhouse aesthetic. It does have that pulpy violence to it, but it also does have this aesthetic that I haven't seen in previous episodes of Black Mirror, where if they are going to spin off Red Mirror in a way to have this type of feel, this type of vibe, I'm
Hmm.
really curious to see if it holds up, just because I think Demon 79 is one of the best produced Black Mirror episodes, where once again, you're not necessarily dealing with future tech. Sorry for saying future tech so much in this episode, but it is that strong social commentary that is really, relevant, not only in today's political climate, but just, in society in general. But Matt,
Hmm.
we do have another supernatural aspect. We have our protagonist discovering that she makes an unknowing, again, Matt, going to those weird terms and conditions, making a pact with a demon.
Uh-huh.
And she has to commit 3 murders in 3 days, or this brings upon, the apocalypse.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Matt, overall, how did you feel about Demon 79?
I think for me, Demon 79 is my most mixed bag episode of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like you said, the production value for this episode was like very good. I really, really like the two main characters for this.
Yep. So main character is Nita, the sales associate,
Mm-hmm.
and Gap, who is the demon.
Yeah. Like I really just like love the way that they interacted with each other
Mm-hmm.
and just just like them throughout the episode. But I don't know, the kind of story of it just felt so arbitrary to me
Right.
that I couldn't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand like it really is just like a story for the sake of kind of more so exploring these two characters,
Yeah.
but something about it just didn't really sit well with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if like you had this, Jared, but just I don't know. I felt it was like too racist, or like not too racist, but like the the kind of way the racism was working in here was like really enough to be like off-putting to me, which I
Right.
feel like was also the point of the
Yeah.
episode.
Again, where it is a racially driven episode,
Mm-hmm.
and I do like how the story is produced of, Nita, who is this minority in a minority in this English town,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just her grappling with, just all the different um, kind of systematic racism within not only her workplace, but in the country in general.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the lunch scene in particular, where her
Yeah. Yeah.
manager is talking to her about the lunch she's eating and how she should like eat a sandwich, like that
Uh-huh.
that hit
That hit hard.
yeah, that hit especially hard. But yeah, I feel like with race playing such a big, proponent in the overall story, I feel like it it's using the setup in the beginning and comes to a head at the end, especially when she decides she needs to kill this politician,
Mhm.
or else even but if I did like the concept of one demon, a demon assistance line
Uh-huh.
with a Gap just calling in just to see what if this was okay.
Uh-huh.
But I do like the theme of systematic racism being presented through the whole concept of, the demon association or whatever, where they're totally okay with Nita killing, these nobodies.
Mhm.
When I like the added flair of, yeah, you killing a murderer doesn't count because we consider a murderer as one of our own, so
Uh-huh.
you have to go back. And no, you can't kill a politician because he's going to murder a lot in the future, and that's good for business. Where
Uh-huh.
it's this sense of like, hey, the overall theme of those in power want you to kill like those below them, but they don't want you to kill, their peers, which I thought was really nice. But again, that only really comes to a head in the later half of the episode,
Yeah.
especially when she has to kill, again, as I said, the politician, where the in between with her first kill and then her second kill, again, that's a well produced form of media to me, similar to Loch Henry. But it falls again in that trapping of, is this actually Black Mirror? Yes, it is, when you consider what Black Mirror is supposed to be, the social commentary. No, it's not, in terms of, sorry for saying it again, take a shot, the future tech. But overall, I think it was just really well produced. I'm a fan of the grindhouse aesthetic, so I think that's what really stood out to me. As you said, Matt, the chemistry between Nita and Gap, superb. Really like the interaction between the two. I really like the ending, especially that closing shot of the lead investigator when he's looking at like the nuclear blast, and that realization of, oh shoot, I just doomed everyone. I thought that was really good as well. But yeah, Matt, I think what really resonated with me was just the overall production value of it. I can see like the criticisms to it, but I think just overall, in between the racial subtext, but also just like as a piece of media, I really enjoyed it a lot. Top two for me. I don't know if it cracks the upper echelon of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror overall, but I think it was a strong note to end the season on, just because, again, I'm just reading into it a lot more, but seeing that Red Mirror production, like, I can't tell if that was part of the Streamberry satire again, but I thought that was really good as well. But going back, I think on the topic of Streamberry, one thing that really took me out of Loch Henry was the fact that Stuart mentioned, hey, remember that murder documentary on Netflix? Where I feel like the Streamberry branding was so strong throughout the series that Stuart saying Netflix really threw me out of it, if that makes sense.
I didn't even catch that, to be honest.
Yeah. But even at the end when they were talking about, showing the Streamberry trailer, that made the kind of fact that Stuart mentions Netflix and Loch Henry a lot more jarring, since I feel like that should have been caught.
Yeah. I wonder if that was a mistake or
yeah,
not.
That was kind of weird. But yeah, Matt, overall, we just went through season 6. What do you think about it overall, and where do you think its episodes kind of rank among your favorite I guess the overall Black Mirror library?
I generally was like okay on season 6.
Yeah.
I think that, to me, like, to be honest, I think most of these episodes fall into like the middle tiers for me. I don't think there was really a standout episode. I think like the thing that stood out to me the most this season was honestly just Nita and Gap.
Yeah.
Just that like relation. Like, if you could just like, take those two out of Jaren. We said us a 4 on the mistake zone. Nina and Gap deserve a better anime.
I'd watch. I don't know how they'll be doing, but I'd watch a Nina Gap like spin-off.
Jaren, I feel like if you were to just transport those two into an anime of, hey, you don't limit it to 3 days, or just like, it's like, oh, 1 kill a day for a week or something.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Kill a day or something like that.
Yeah.
That could be a fun anime. Matt, I'd watch that anime. I totally would watch that anime. But Matt, this is a beefy episode, but I feel like we should end off on this. Now that you said that a lot of the episodes were kind of middling, I want to go through Rotten Tomatoes Black Mirror episodes ranked best to worst. And I guess
this just season 6 or all
everything?
Okay.
And I think this is based on like their freshness rating and whatnot. But Matt, I'm going to go through the top 5 and then the bottom 5. And I want to kind of see where you if you agree with this, and if you have any specific episodes that come to mind in their places. So we'll start with the worst episodes.
Okay.
Coming in at so I'm going to go from 24 to 28.
Okay.
So rank 24 from season 3, Men Against Fire. for those that don't remember, that's the episode of the soldier with the eye enhancement, and he finds out that the eye enhancement kind of makes everything appear to be monsters when in reality he's also killing civilians. So
Jared, that was a Call of Duty or some. Was it a Call of Duty?
I don't know, but I feel like that showed up in Black Ops at some point.
Yeah.
The rank number 25 Crocodile from season 4, which Matt personally heard because I really like Crocodile.
Which episode is this?
Crocodile was that it involved the writer, I believe, who is talking to. So essentially, the twist at the end is there's a technology that will let you kind of scan the memories of someone, and the protagonist is a woman who, I believe it was a hit and run at the end or in the beginning that she's trying to hide, and then there was a reporter kind of investigating it. So she ends up killing, the reporter, her family, her child, because the child witnesses. But then the woman is caught because
I remember this one. Yeah,
the authorities used their pet guinea pigs or whatever to get their memories to find out that the woman's guilty.
I like that episode.
I really like that episode.
That's
one of the episodes that stands out to me. But Matt rated 53 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay,
or 53% freshness. Yeah. Number 26 from season 5. Rachel, Jack, and Ashley 2. That was the Miley Cyrus episode.
I didn't watch season 5.
Okay, yeah. True. I can kind of see why it's there. Number 27, Matt, Mazey Day.
Yeah.
Second worst Black Mirror episode according to Rotten Tomatoes. And their worst rated one with a freshness score of 50 from season 2, the Waldo moment.
Which one is
That's
one?
the political one with like the blue bear character.
The blue bear character.
The blue cartoon character, and then how he ends up in the running. Like, I don't know. It's honestly like my least favorite episode.
I fully don't even remember the story.
I vaguely, like, before this episode, when I looked at this list, I looked up the Wikipedia entry, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. But like, maybe this speaks to me as a person, but like, a lot of the politically heavy ones aren't really my cup of tea. But I think Hated by the Nation is like the exception. I think that was a really good episode. But Matt, let's go to top 5 now.
Okay.
So from 95% freshness, from season 3, episode 1, Nosedive, which is probably one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes as well. That was another social credit episode where it's the woman who has a social credit of, I think it was like a 4, and she wants to raise it to a 4.5.
Oh, the Meow Meow Beans episode.
Yeah.
I like that episode.
Good episode. Number 4, also 95 freshness rating from season 4, USS Callister, which that's the space VR thing.
Oh, yeah. I like that episode. Yeah, that was a good episode.
Good episode.
Yeah,
Not my favorite Black Mirror episode, but it's up there for me. Number 3, 100% freshness rating.
Oh, damn.
Demon 79.
Oh, that's surprising to me.
I like Demon 79. Not top 5 for me, but I like it. So, Matt, this is telling number 1 and 2 also will have 100% freshness ratings. Both of them are from season 1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Number 2 is episode 2, 50 Million Merits, another social credit episode.
That makes sense.
And of course, season 1, episode 1, the national anthem, which... Yeah.
I'm surprised that that's... Like, I get that that's such an iconic episode.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that that's number 1.
Are there any episodes that you would have expected to be up there, just from what you recall?
I can't really think of any at the moment.
But it's surprising. I think... just to close off this episode, I feel like National Anthem is the quintessential, like, Black Mirror episode. It sets the tone, and again, it to me is the argument that you don't need the. Sorry, guys, take a thought. The future tech. Now, I don't know what this episode's called, but if it's called future tech, I won't be surprised. But yeah, it is the quintessential one because that is like the let's shine a mirror at how society's obsession is with, the grotesque on social media, even though it's all like fabricated. And I thought that was such a great episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm actually surprised that San Junipero isn't up there.
Which ones?
That's that's kind of like the love story one where San Junipero is kind of like that AI colony where you can preserve your consciousness to kind of live there after you die.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's like heavily regarded to be really well received. I liked it, not my favorite. I'm also surprised Black Museum isn't considered one, like isn't up there in the Prussian scale as well.
Is that the one where like the girls getting just? It's the culmination episode.
Yeah,
of, like,
it's
a
a
bunch of
culmination
oh yeah.
episode,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, that was a good episode. I guess also related to that episode. I'm surprised that the one with like living inside, was it a bear, teddy bear or something? The guy whose consciousness is trapped inside something.
Oh, that's
Was that
technically
Black Mirror?
no, that's technically part of the bear itself is in Black Museum, but I think the one you're thinking of is White Christmas, which is that standalone series, which is also the guy. But yeah, Matt, I forget which episode, but like I found a lot, especially going back through the episode synopsis just to kind of get a refresher. A lot of them play off like consciousness living inside something as a form of punishment as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm kind of glad that wasn't necessarily a trope in season 6, and I hope it doesn't continue. I hope they don't explore that like in future seasons anytime soon because they've explored it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Demon 79 was, I think, the one that gave me the most Black Mirror-y ending.
Right.
Just because it is, hey, we're going to go live in exile forever together. Yeah. But, like, yeah.
But yeah, when I kind of think about, like, episodes that stick out to me, I think about, Be Right Back, the, like, Android Dad, like, episode. Shut Up and Dance is up there for me just because how horrifying it is. Matt, I was shook after I watched Shut Up and Dance.
Which one is Shut Up and Dance?
That's the one where the guy's blackmailed by the hacker to do.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And yeah, but overall, Matt, pretty good season. I think I can see the argument of what people are saying that this is the least Black Mirror season. But at the same time, I think it has a lot of well-produced episodes, and I think it kind of returns to that national anthem social commentary feel.
Yeah.
Which I really did appreciate. But not necessarily anime, but something we watched together. Any closing thoughts on Black Mirror?
I wonder what like 8 is gonna be if they get to 8.
Matt? I'm sorry, I know you're
7,
dying.
Sorry, 7, yeah.
I know you're dying, and then it's been a beefy episode, but as someone who didn't watch Bandersnatch, 1, do you recommend Bandersnatch? And 2, do you think it's something that format is something they can return to?
I would recommend watching Bandersnatch. I think it is in essence a visual movie or FMV game. So I think you might like be into it. I did like that you can kind of, at least from what I remember, it was like pretty easy to navigate to the scenes that you missed.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very important point in any of those kind of I'm just gonna say games, like or in that kind of media.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily though if I want more Bandersnatch. I think Bandersnatch itself was like pretty like well done, but I don't know if you're gonna get the same kind of like freshness out of another one,
right?
Unless they somehow like radically change it.
Okay.
I mean, Jaron, I'm waiting for the Black Mirror video game.
I'm waiting for the Black Mirror anime, Matt.
Oh man, Jaron, they should totally do just an anime season. How has there not been an animated Black Mirror episode?
I feel like they have to. 1, I feel like they have to, and 2, Matt, they opened up the supernatural gates. Where's the Junji Ito like collaborate? Where's his episode?
Where's our Toy Story episode? Where's Jaron? 100%. If there's an anime or animated Black Mirror, there's going to be at least 2 episodes of it within a season. One is just going to be a normal Black Mirror episode, and then the second one is going to be when it breaks fourth wall, and then the animation is coming out of the paper, like Enchanted or something.
Matt,
Mm-hmm.
I agree that's going to happen, but I had a disgusting idea. A disgusting thought. Matt, over under.
Huh.
Do you think there's going to be a Black Mirror episode that's completely written by AI?
Oh, 100%. You know what? I would not be surprised if one of the episodes was already written by an AI.
It has to be one, right?
That has to be one. 100% that has to be one.
And that's the twist at the end, is like, oh, this was written by AI.
Yeah, like that has to be one. I would be legitimately surprised if especially with ChatGPT just kind of being public now.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if by season 8 or... I mean, I guess that I don't know when if they haven't started filming or writing season 7 yet.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if they don't have an AI written episode by season 8.
This is the Black Mirror future that they were warning us about, Matt.
Jaren, I am legitimately... not legitimately. I am semi-looking into AI to create a Mistake Zone episode.
I hate it. I hate it, Matt.
I can't wait until that goes.
I hate it.
Jaren, I don't know if you know this, or if you ever do this, but sometimes I go to our show on YouTube and I just rip out, because you can download closed captionings from YouTube. So I just download the closed captionings for our episodes and I just see what we're saying every so often. And like, it's kind of wild that they're able to track most of like what we're saying, unless we're saying some dumb word or butchering Japanese or butchering English, actually, which is going to happen more often.
That happened a lot this episode. Unfathomable tragedy.
Unfathomable.
Matt, another beefy episode. I apologize, Matt.
No.
But Matt, I want to thank you as always.
Yo, I want to thank you for taking the pauses while I'm coughing up a storm this episode, which I'm hopefully fully edited out of the final product.
I hope you're doing okay, Matt. I hope you're doing okay, editor Matt. Matt, I want to thank Model. I want to thank Quiet Manager. I want to thank FMV Games. And I want to thank Rotten Tomatoes for helping us with that segment.
Yo.
But Matt, again, another beefy episode. We went through Black Mirror. Matt, we should probably pick something else that we both watched. Demon Slayer just ended. We'll get to that eventually.
Did you watch it?
There's 12 episodes this season, correct?
13, I think.
I'm at I think I'm on episode 8 right now.
Okay,
almost there. Almost there, Matt. Matt, you know what that means. Time to ask you what the summer anime to look out for is.
Oh, man. Jaren, hopefully by the time I put out this episode, I will have done what's the summer anime to watch. But I legitimately think that right at this point in time, I might not do that video.
We'll see, Matt. We'll see. But Matt, please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of future tech.